Under the Monday night lights, the stage was set for what could have been a statement game. The Raiders had everything in front of them, a chance to seize control of the AFC West, to silence the critics, and to send a message that this year's team was built differently. But instead of glory, they walked off the field battered and frustrated. Losers of a 20-9 contest that felt less like a defeat and more like a self-inflicted collapse. It wasn't just a loss to a divisional rival. It was a bitter reminder of old mistakes and the painful reality that potential means nothing without execution. At first glance, the stat sheet leaves little room for debate. Geno Smith, the quarterback tasked with guiding this offense, finished with 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, and fewer than 200 passing yards. Numbers like that practically beg for blame. And sure enough, much of Raider Nation turned their anger directly toward him. But football is rarely that simple. Strip away the surface-level numbers, rewind the tape, and a deeper story emerges, one that reveals systemic issues with coaching, play design, and execution across the board. This wasn't just a quarterback's meltdown. It was a team-wide unraveling. The first signs of trouble came not from Geno's arm, but from the sidelines. Chip Kelly's game plan looked predictable from the very first series. Against a Chargers defense built on Pete Carroll's classic cover 1 and cover 3 shells, Kelly offered little creativity, lining up the offense in the same static 2x2 formations over and over again. No motion, no misdirection, no effort to disguise looks or manipulate defenders. 9 times in the first half, the Raiders trotted out the same formation. And 9 times, it ended in disaster. Checkdowns for 2 yards, throwaways, sacks, or hurried passes into tight coverage. It wasn't until the second half, with the team already trailing by multiple scores, that Kelly finally adjusted. Suddenly, we saw 3 receiver overloads, spread concepts, and more creative spacing. And just like that, the offense found rhythm. The first 2 drives after halftime were things of beauty, long sustained marches that had the Chargers on their heels. But even those glimmers of hope were snuffed out. One by a questionable holding call on Dylan Parham that wiped out a touchdown drive, and another by a reckless decision on 3rd and 3, where Geno forced a risky ball instead of taking the points. Coaching failed this team again on the personnel front. Brock Bowers, the rookie tight end, touted as the future of the offense, was clearly playing through pain. He limped through his routes, avoided landing on his injured leg, and struggled to cut sharply. Yet he remained a focal point of the passing attack, even being targeted on a critical 4th down late in the game. Why gamble your best weapon's health in week 2 of a long season? Why force-feed a hobbled player instead of leaning on other weapons who were healthy and ready? Those decisions reeked of desperation, not strategy. And then there was the offensive line, a glaring weak spot that turned every drop back into a scramble for survival. Geno was pressured on nearly every play, not because the Chargers were dialing up exotic blitzes, because the interior of the Raiders' line collapsed repeatedly. Dylan Parham, Alex Kappa, and Jordan Meredith combined for nearly 30 losing reps in one night. An astonishingly bad figure. How can any quarterback succeed when his pocket evaporates before he can even plant his feet? The tape told the story in brutal detail. Trey Tucker broke free for a surefire touchdown, but Geno couldn't step into the throw with Parham being driven into his lap. Dante Thornton gained separation downfield. But once again, Geno was forced to throw flat-footed, and the underthrown ball fell incomplete. These aren't excuses. They're context. Yes, Geno made bad throws, especially the late-game interception on 3rd and 15, but the protection breakdowns turned. High percentage plays into coin flips. Jordan Meredith's performance was particularly disastrous. Errant snaps, blown assignments, and missed blitz pickups created chaos before plays could even develop. One sequence captured the dysfunction perfectly. On 3rd and 1. Zamir White took a handoff and was swallowed in the backfield for a 5-yard loss. The culprit? Meredith, who completely whiffed on a blitzing linebacker. Basic blocking, basic execution, and it wasn't there. Meanwhile, Ashton Gentry, the rookie running back who flashed explosiveness and weak, found himself inexplicably sidelined at critical moments. Gentry ripped off an 11-yard run, breaking multiple tackles and igniting the crowd. And then he was benched for an entire series while Zamir White, who struggled all night, was sent back onto the field. The result? Negative plays, stalled drives, and momentum squandered. In the NFL, you ride the hot hand. Instead, Kelly iced his own offense. Defensively, the night offered a mixture of brilliance and breakdowns. Max Crosby was his usual relentless self, forcing a fumble that gave the Raiders a glimmer of hope late. Jonah Lalu dominated in the trenches, racking up 2 sacks and consistent pressure. Jeremy Chin stood tall on the goal line, making clutch stops that kept the game within reach. But for every highlight, there was a gut punch. Isaiah Polamau was exposed repeatedly in coverage, surrendering over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a natural box safety being forced into a role he doesn't fit, and the Chargers exploited it mercilessly. Missed tackles piled up, including the back-breaking 60-yard bomb to Quentin Johnston. The need for a true free safety has never been clearer. Meanwhile, Thomas Booker quietly shined on the interior. He may not light up the stat sheet, but his disruption up the middle created openings for his teammates. The tape proves his value, even if casual fans miss it. When the dust settled, the Raiders weren't just beaten by the Chargers. They were beaten by themselves, by bad coaching, by poor protection, by questionable personnel decisions, and by missed opportunities. Geno Smith's mistakes were costly, but they were symptoms of a larger disease. Until this team cleans up its protection schemes, commits to its best playmakers, and develops a game plan tailored to its opponent, nights like this will keep repeating. The good news? It's only week 2. The season is far from over and opportunities for redemption still lie ahead. The Commanders are next, and with rumors swirling about Jaden Daniels' availability, it's a winnable matchup. But only if the Raiders get out of their own way. The blueprint is clear. Commit to Ashton Gentry. Simplify protections to give Geno a fighting chance. Use play action to slow down the pass rush. Lean on the defense's strength in the front 7 and protect the secondary from being exposed. Above all, demand accountability from Chip Kelly. For the highest-paid coordinator in the league, the excuses have run dry. Raider Nation deserves better than predictable play calls and squandered talent, because in the end, this wasn't just a loss. It was a warning. Keep playing this way, and the season will slip away before it even begins. But if the Raiders take a hard look in the mirror and make the changes now, this could still be the team fans hoped for. The potential is there. The fire is there. What's missing is discipline, creativity, and execution. The AFC West crown may have slipped through their fingers this week, but the season isn't lost yet. The question is simple. Will the Raiders learn from their mistakes, or will they keep beating themselves?